Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're going to talk about the top 10 things which I think a lot of mid-game players still do not know about Raid. I do a lot of account takeovers. I see a number of different either mistakes or things that could enhance somebody's game just by tweaking a little bit of knowledge. I'm going to go through 10 things which I think will help everybody get through this game and be more effective. But before we get into that, I just want to touch on a couple of things. It's the first video I've done for a couple of days, and we've had some big news. So Stu Gaming, congratulations. He's got a kind of shout out from Plarium, which has been really great for his channel. In fairness, Stu was the person who kind of most supported me before I became a content creator. Gave me lots of advice around what software to use, how to approach it, where to kind of throw my videos up. Gave me a couple of shout outs as well, so nothing but respect for Stu. I hope Plarium kind of follows suit and get some of the other creators out there as well. I probably would have preferred to see them do almost like a meet the content creators for Raid, and maybe throw up 10 bios or something like that, and enabled the fan base of Raid to go out and explore who their favourite content creator was. But nothing taken away from Stu. Really well deserved, really hard working guy. And if you're not a subscriber, go and check out his stuff. Just in terms of my channel, give you a quick update. So I'm at 10.8k subs, which I'm really chuffed with. It's fantastic. So things are going well. If you are one of the 60% of people that watch my videos all the time but does not subscribe, I'm going to quickly show you what to do. You click on a channel, click on one of my videos or any of the other guys that are in the kind of main channels, and you'll see here it will be red. It will say subscribe. Click on subscribe. That means that you will see notifications when my videos come up. If you click the little bell, then you can actually be notified exactly when I release a video. So I would advise anyone who likes my stuff, go ahead and do it. It will help me out and it will let you know when my content is out. So before I get into the final, to the actual video, I just want to say we've got pretty much like the craziest whale war going on right now. I want to be part of it, but I can't be part of it. So we've got this kind of group scenario where anybody who wins their group can win a Ray, which is brilliant. I've got a Ray. It's an exciting champion to win. 4,000 points in my group already with just like half a day gone or something. And the chance of getting a legendary book here is probably quite reasonable. I could get that just by using green shards. Now, if there's, I don't know, maybe a few multi-millionaires that are watching and want to just kind of whale me out and get me this Venus, drop me a DM, my Discord details below. If there's 3 or 4 of you, happy for you all to contribute, happy for that. Maybe if I win, I'll invite you around to my mum's for dinner or something. I don't know, but I would love Venus. But look at this, 24,000 points already, and we are half a day into a 5-day stint. Yowza, that is insane. If Venus was on this previous page, I would probably try and do something about that, but wow, 24,000 already. It's probably going to go well over 100,000 points, which is pretty mental. I wonder how many legendaries this guy's got already. It's going to be a lot. Looking for some big names. I know, who did I see earlier? CMFX is in the Gallifrey cluster, so I might be chatting to him to see how many shards he's pulled already. But yeah, I'm sure Delir. There's going to be plenty of names that we're used to seeing up there. But yeah, all those whales out there, drop me a line. Anyway, let's get into this. I'm going to start with topic number 1, auras versus skills. Now, most champions in this game have got some form of aura. If they've got an aura, they've got a little icon top right of their portrait. I'm not treating this as a beginner guide, so I'm hoping that some people have got basic knowledge here. So if I was to go on to Arbiter, she has got an aura which increases ally speed in the arena. Now, the difference which a lot of people are not clear on is an aura affects base stats. So in the example of Arbiter, she's got a base speed of 110, and then all of the gear and masteries and everything else I throw on top of that gives me an additional 182. But her aura will only ever affect the 110. So she'll do it on all the teams. So if Warlord was in her team, the aura would only boost the 100 speed of Warlord. So that's an aura. If I then compare that to a skill, so she's got a skill, her A3, which fills turn meters of all allies by 30%. A skill is always based on the full package, the total stats. So a skill is going to boost to 292 by 30%. So aura is against base, a skill is against total stats. That works the same on skills like her increase attack. So the same skill here, she's got an increase attack by 50%. So that is going to increase her overall attack, total attack by 50%. Let's take another example just to ram it home. Ultan, good example. He has got an aura which increases ally defense by 33%. So he's going to get 33% more defense on 1398. And so will the rest of the team. If he activates his skill, which increases defense, this is a skill ability, 60% more defense. That skill is going to increase the overall defense by 60%. So if you had 60% up all the time, he's going to gain, what's that, about another 3k defense in like all the time. Okay, that is number one, aura versus skills. Done. Number two, the benefit of defense versus HP. So I think I've ran this home over a number of videos, but defense is your primary stat to grow up until the point where you get to about 4,500 defense. Defense will mitigate more damage than HP can kind of resolve. So if the clan boss is hitting you late into the game and you're dying, the chances are you're dying because you did not stack enough defense. Even if you had maximum HP, defense is stronger than HP up until about 4,500, at which case it starts to peter off and you're then better growing more stats. Which means that in most cases, for probably 99.5% of players that are playing this game, really with the gear that you've got, you probably just want to focus on defense for your primary stat for a ring, your primary stat for an amulet, and your percentage stats on gloves and chests. This is a really bad example because he's not set up for clan boss. Let's find somebody else. Let's find Badel. Badel. Defense. He's got crit damage as well. Defense. 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 Because I need to get him to 4,500 defense. At this stage, I then stack other abilities. So defense is the better stat than HP. This leads me on to the Great Hall, which is number 3. I'm not going to go into detail on this. I've got a full guide on Great Hall out there. But what you want to focus on is stats that will benefit all of your champions. So I've said it before, but attack only benefits attack-based champions. Every other stat in here benefits every champion. Defense benefits every single champion. So invest your time in the Great Hall on areas which are going to benefit your champions, and also spend your time looking at what affinities you've got the most of to get the best results. That's Great Hall. Next one, I've been asked a few questions about when do you need accuracy and how much do you need. So accuracy is required whenever you have an ability that interacts with another champion or a boss. So if I take Razin as an example, because this is someone I've specifically been asked about, it's quite clear to people that when I go up and try and hit them and put decreased defense and weaken on, people seem to understand that you need accuracy to make that work. However, when you have an ability like this one, Bogged Down, attacks all enemies, decreases the turn meter by 100%, people don't generally seem to get that that equally needs the same level of accuracy as this ability. Anything which is going to interact with another opponent needs accuracy. And the accuracy you need is all based on the amount of resistance the opponent you're facing has got. So what we tend to find is for end game content, you need about 230 accuracy for PvE. PvP is all based on, it's all completely dependent on how your opponent has built their team. And what you tend to find is if someone's got high player power, I'll give you an example. My Warlord's got high player power. That's because he's got high resistance. So you tend to find high power equals high resistance, which means you need more accuracy. Because the accuracy is a check versus can I beat their resistance or not. Hopefully that's clear. If you've got questions about this stuff, throw it down the bottom because I'm trying to rattle through these without making the video super long. Okay, on to number 5. How do you do damage in this game? Again, this for most people this is probably quite basic, but I'm just going to go into it. Every champion against their skills has got something that says damage based on. In this example, it's based on defense. Now, if we look at all of his skills, based on defense, based on defense, based on defense. Now, what that means is, for Razin, attack literally does nothing at all, ever. Attack doesn't change the amount of damage he does. It doesn't help him mitigate any damage. It doesn't help him resist a skill. It is literally useless to this champion. Whereas if you go into somebody like if we go into Bad El, so Bad El's skills are based on attack. It's only got one that's actually based on it. So his skills based on attack. So this is the primary look to see how much damage he's going to do, his attack skill. However, he does benefit from defense because it keeps him alive. But yeah, basically, if you buff attack, so if you've got an Arbiter who's got this skill that increases attack, this skill does not mean increases damage. It means increases the skill which is called attack. So if you put increase attack up on your Arbiter and your team is Razin, Warlord and Ultan, actually that skill is not going to increase the damage of any one of those champions. Actually, I think it does Warlord. It does Warlord, sorry, yeah. If we find an HP champion, I thought he was HP for a second. This guy. Harvest Jack is an HP champion. All of his damage is based on HP. So he will not get any additional damage from an increased attack buff. And he will not get any additional damage from an increased defense buff. Hoping this is sinking in. If you've got somebody that's got an increased defense buff, like Ultan, on his A2, increased defense, that will actually increase his damage because all of his damage is based on defense. Hopefully that's clear. I'm going to leave it at that because I feel like I'm rattling on. Okay, next one. This one is just a common mistake. Different gear sets proc in different ways. You've got some which are offensive and some which are defensive. So an example of an offensive set is a stun set. So if I find stun in my gear, here we go. So if we read what it says, it's got an 18% chance to place a stun debuff. That's all it says here. It doesn't go into any more detail. It does go, I think there's somewhere else where you can find the detail. Don't even know where it is. It's not in a very easy place. But basically what that's saying is every time you swing against your enemy, you've got an 18% chance to stun them. And people say, well, why wouldn't you just put Frost gear on? Because clearly Frost has got a higher percentage chance to freeze than Stun has to stun. Well, the difference here is that Freeze or Frost gear is a defensive set, which means you have to be hit to apply the freeze. So Stun, you hit to apply your stun. Freeze, you have to be hit to apply the freeze. They're completely different, and you use them on completely different style champions. So normally you'd use a stun on somebody that hits with an AoE hit against everybody, and you hope that that 18% proc is going to hit at least one person and stun at least one of the enemy. Whereas freeze, you would put on somebody that perhaps does a provoke, so that they're forced to hit you, and therefore you hope to freeze them. So basically, you need freeze gear, frost gear, on tanky people that can take a hit. There's no point putting frost gear on someone who is squishy, because the freeze would just wear straight off as soon as that person is dead. Frost gear, I think, is the only gear that procs on being hit. You've got provoke is all based on you hitting someone. Stun gear is all based on you hitting someone. I guess frenzy's based on you being hit, but that's in a different way. So yeah, that's gear. Hopefully that's cleared that one up. Next one is about player power. So a lot of people that watch my videos in the arena, they're kind of like, yeah, of course you win that fight. Your player power is so strong. Or they're saying, how do you get your player power so strong? What do you do to kind of force your power up that high? So I'm going to tell you, there's 2 tips for player power. And let me just be clear, high player power does not mean strong champion. And I'll show you a quick example of that. Let's get somebody out of my vault who I don't use. Just trying to find someone who is relevant to what I'm trying to show you. Maybe this guy. So player power is massively enhanced by crit rate and resistance. And let me show you an example. So if I've got my Man-Eater, he's got 18,000 player power right now, and he's wearing HP gloves. So if I throw on a pair of crit rate gloves, let's see what his power is before. 18,000. He's in a resistance chest. So if I throw on crit rate gloves instead of HP gloves, he goes to 19,000. If I was to take off the gloves and the resistance chest, the 2 things which boost power the most, he comes down to 12,000. Now, imagine I've got resistance here as well. So if I get him pretty much naked apart from a ring, he's down to 10,000. So basically, just by putting a little bit of resistance and crit on him, it doubles his power. It doesn't mean he's a strong champion. It just means that he's got gear on him, which this game recognizes as strong gear. So if I look at my guys that have got high resistance, Ultan for example, high resistance, high crit means high power. Even though I've got somebody just as well geared in Tormund, he's got equally as strong gear, but his stats are in accuracy instead of resistance, and his crit rate is only kind of half of Ultan's. He's 30,000 player power less. So high power is generally built from high crit rate and high resistance. It does not mean that they're a super strong champion. Okay, I'm just going to go into one more thing, which is turn order in a fight. So speed dictates turn order. So if you've got 4 champions, so Arbiter's at 292, we've got Bat, just do these 2, and then you've got Warlord at 182. Clearly the person with the highest speed is going to go first. If 2 people have got exactly the same speed, the game looks at which person has the higher base speed, and then that person will go first. If you are on, so that's speed, the difference what I want to look at is counter attack. So if you are fighting the clan boss, and what people generally feel is that when counter attack kicks in, the person who is fastest is going to counter attack first. That's incorrect. Counter attack is based on where are you placed on the grid in terms of turn order. So if my Martyr was the slowest, that makes no difference. Because she's at the front of the grid, she's always going to counter attack first. When this comes to be important is when you're fighting the clan boss and you want to make sure that you always get decrease attack on the clan boss as your primary debuff. It means you need them higher in the grid so that they don't end up getting that really important debuff replaced by something like a poison or a weaken or a decreased defense or a heal reduction or something bad. So the way this works is Marta is placed as number 1. She will counterattack first. Then Bad El is in position 2. He would then counterattack. Then Norog is in position 3. He would go next. Then it would be Razin. He would go next, position 4. And then Vizier would go last, position 5. Their speed make no difference at all. That's the order they will always counterattack in. So with that in mind, you should generally have your decrease attack person in position 1 or 2. And you should always put your debuff extender in position 5 if you've got one. So that is counterattacking. So that is my top tips for people that are in mid-game. Feel free to leave me a comment below. Let me know if I've missed any obvious ones. Or perhaps leave me a comment and say, "Oh, Hades, what are you going on about? We know all this stuff. Stop wasting our time." I don't know. People have been asking me to do this sort of stuff, so I just thought I'd throw it out there. Thanks for watching, guys. Up in hell, Hades. Catch you soon.